Hey there, welcome back to Diesel Creek. My name's Matt. I have a problem. That somebody should ban me from Facebook Marketplace. I think it's going to be the downfall to my existence. But, look what I got! What is it, Matt? Why do you need it, Matt? Well, A, it's a welder. B, I do not. Basically, as I was scrolling through the old marketplace, as one does, I came across the listing for this gem here, and basically there was two crappy pictures. All you could see was what you see right here, basically. And it said, Welder, $300. And I thought, a lot of those big old Aircos, I'm pretty sure were diesel powered. I think a lot of them had Detroits in them. So I messaged the fella, and I said, hey, for $300, you're not that far away from me. I'll come snag it. Is it a diesel? Pretty sure it's a diesel, right? 2 days later, he said, yeah, I think. And then it proceeded to take me another week to get him to message me enough to where I could finally go get this thing. I figured for $300 I couldn't go wrong because scrapping the armature alone could be worth $150 or so. There's a lot of copper in there. Plus all the other little doodads of the welder side of things. Also, I noticed in the picture, there's a Columbia bench vise down there, which is a pretty nice old vise. And I was happy to see when I showed up that it actually works. Doesn't seem like it's all destroyed. The jaws aren't like brazed back together like a lot of them are. So, hey, that's $150. And when I finally was able to take a peek under her dress, it's not a Detroit. Now, I was hoping it was a Detroit because I could use a Detroit 271 or 253 for some various other projects I've got cooking in the back, but it's still a diesel. I'm pretty sure this is a Perkins, although I haven't found any identification for sure yet. But I have not, that was literally what you just saw, is the extent of the looking that I did when I purchased it. I said, good enough, here's $300, throw it on the trailer. I just made it back here to the yard with it, and we're going to actually start taking a peek at it now. The only other thing I did that I'm lying to you about, I did put my hand on this fan, and when you squeeze the belt and turn the fan, I was able to get the engine to turn enough to say that it's not locked up. I definitely didn't do anywhere near a 360. Haven't even pulled the dipstick yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, it's got oil. I think I just touched it to my nose, didn't I? Yep. Doesn't smell bad, doesn't look contaminated with water or anything, so that's a good sign. Obviously, we're on a bit of a lean here too, since we're still chained on the trailer. I should probably unchain it and at least level this sucker out if we're going to start messing with it. Oh, hey, look at that. The toolbox moved. No, like I said, I didn't really do any investigating here when I was buying this thing. We got wires going up into this box. And, that was very fortunate that didn't come off going down the road. There's the whole box. Looked like it was bolted to the trailer when I got there, and I think it was at one time, but the box has since deleted itself from the trailer. But there's something in here. I don't know what's in here. Ooh, look at that! Ha! I did not see that coming. We got a MIG gun. An old Airco MIG gun. If it works, that's worth a couple bucks. Pretty cool. This is old. Patented in Canada, 1951. Obviously, that's just a patent date, but yeah, I'd say that this is quite an old MIG gun. A little Victor flow regulator. Heck, that's a good regulator right there. If you had to go buy one of those, that's probably $150 there. Looks like that's just all lead for the MIG gun tucked up in that box there. I'm really glad that that whole thing didn't just fly off while I was going down the road, because apparently it's no longer secured. What else do we look at here? Oh yeah, so that's all that copper I was telling you that, even if this deal goes south, we still got a good bit of copper to scrap out of here. That's all heavy copper leads there going up to the switchgear. Okay, so it's an Airco Air-Comatic Yellow Jacket VD. I'm guessing that means diesel. Yeah, that's probably not a good sign. That's pretty well stuck. Oh, okay, this one moves. So that actually changes your taps on the back of your switchgear here, which controls how much amperage you're welding with. You can see in there is the actual armature. I think that's what you'd call that, as an armature, that makes the energy you need to weld. Oof, that doesn't look good. This is a transformer down here for something. You may or may not need that to weld. I don't know exactly what that does. That might be for DC, or that might be for AC purposes only. I don't know. There's an alternator here. Looks like it's used to power the 110 socket on the front of the machine. That's interesting. Yeah, 115 volts, 60 cycles. It seems to be pretty well stuck. I gotta say, I do kind of like the way they have this whole welding trailer kind of set up here. They have it set up for your gas bottles right here, so you could have your either oxygen and acetylene, or welding gas for the shielding gas for that MIG gun. There's another shot of our mystery engine there. Like I said, I think it's a Perkins. I haven't messed with any of these small Perkins ever, so that's just a guess. Looks like it's all there though. The intake tube from the air filter to the intake though is disintegrated pretty well. Hopefully nothing got down in there. Can we check the antifreeze? Oh, there's an access from up top here. Oh yeah, those hinges, they're not loving life right now. Oh, look at that. There's green antifreeze in the radiator. That's a good sign. I bet you this thing just fires right up. I actually got this thing from a couple guys that are cleaning out a super old junkyard that like doesn't look like anybody's touched that junkyard in 30 years. I was assuming these boxes were empty, but now that there's stuff in that box, maybe there is stuff in this box. I was afraid of bees coming flying out of this thing as soon as I got to it, but oh no, there is stuff in here. Look at that. Wow, and it's like well preserved too. This thing clearly been sitting outside for a long time, and oh yeah, there are bees nests in there. Any bees? No, doesn't look like it. That's a good sign. Well, I can't wait to clean that cabinet out and see what all's in there. I see some John Deere parts, some filters, got a jack. What about this box? How do we open it? I don't rightly know how we open it. The box is kind of rotted anyway. We're not really hurting anything if we destroy it, but I'm trying not to. There used to be a push button lock there. I thought you just pushed on this tab in here, but that doesn't seem to be working. Oh, there we go. Turns out you just got to hit it really hard. Not nearly as much in here. Nothing exciting. Just a big mouse house. Ugh. And one of these guys, these are handy. I've actually been wanting to make one of these, and now I don't have to. So if you're working on something and you need to hold it down to the table, but you don't have any way to kind of like clamp it, you just weld this plate to the table or whatever the piece you're working on is, and then you can screw this thing down and clamp something there. Basically, you're pushing off of yourself that way, and then you just cut this back off when you're done. Old can of rods, long since gone. Ah. I was hoping we were going to have some treasures in there. Kind of ridiculous, but I can't resist the pull to dig through this cabinet and see what all we got in here. Nice little 3-pound hammer. Some groat, a groat backup alarm. You know, the thing you put on the truck or a piece of machinery to go beep, beep, beep when you're backing up. Spotlight base. Another spotlight base. What are we talking about spotlight base here? Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice, old school, halogen. You know, equipment light. The old signal stat, 620. New in the box. That's hard to argue with. I don't think there's much in here. No. One poor little tap. 18 millimeter nonetheless. Made in the USA. That's a good tap at least. We'll hang on to that. What's in the cookie tin? Okay. Got some welding lead adapters. Basically you put these on the end of your welding leads and then you can put these into the female tap. Yeah, one of these guys. Just some random welding odds and ends and an old school carbide cutter bit. This goes in like a crusher or something like that that would pulverize stone. A lot of people keep these things for center punches. That carbide's super hard there, so you just give that a whack and leaves a really nice center punch. I have one of those in the shop myself. And that kind of tracks to this sticker I noticed in the front of this box, Dick Coal Company. If they were mining coal, those teeth like that would have been everywhere. Kind of John Deere parts that we got. An old lift pump. By the looks of it here, we've got a very used and well loved by the mud daubers lift pump here. No idea if that's any good or not, and doesn't fit anything that I own, so we're not going to worry about that. Brand new greasable pin here. That could be nice if it fits something I need. We'll hang on to that. Wix filter, 1305. Still new in the box, but I don't think I'll be using it. Pretty nasty looking. Bicycle pump in case your tire goes flat. I don't think I want to pump up that tire with this pump. Right in the scrap. Some old nasty welding gloves. Looks like some bushings that probably fit this pin, I would guess. Oh yeah. Yep. Those are bushings to go with the pin. Got us a scissor jack. Some garbage. A new battery terminal end, and I think that might be needed right over here. Yeah, look at that. We need that guy. Our ground here is missing a terminal end. Now we have one. Craftsman chisel. I love going through stuff like this. Nice little wire brush. Some sort of a tool to loosen or change something there. And then I forget what these are. I've seen these before. I should know what this is. Maybe for arc gouging or something. I don't remember what those are. Oh, they might go to that MIG gun, actually. I'll bet you that's what that tool's for, too, is it changes the tips on the MIG gun or something. I'll bet you. What else? That's a cool oil can. Check that out. The old Wolf's Head Specialty Duty Motor Oil. So as far as I know, this was a Pennsylvania company. Wolf's Head used to be up near Oil City, PA, or in Oil City, PA. Yeah, actually says right there, Wolf's Head Oil Co., Oil City, PA. That's pretty cool. I used to drive past the refinery all the time when I was younger, going up to our camp up north. Unfortunately, I don't believe Wolf's Head exists anymore in any capacity. A couple other filters here. I think they're fuel filters, possibly for this unit here. Nice big punch. Striker. More mud dauber nests. And the last thing is this curious little metal box here. What could possibly be in here? Ooh, good stuff. Lindy torch tip cleaners. Man, it is hard to find a good torch tip cleaner. These are old. I bet you they're pretty decent ones. And a whole bunch of barbed brass assortment stuff here for patching up torch hose or any sort of gas hosing, like what you would have on this rig for the shielding gas. I don't know what that guy is. Some sort of a specialty cutter punch thing. It looks like a hole punch they would use for making gaskets, but it's only half of it. You see what I'm saying? Like it makes a C shape rather than a whole circular punch. I've never seen something like that. I don't know what that would be used for. If you do, let me know in the comments. Torch tips. Yeah, good stuff. Alright, well, now that my curiosity is satisfied, we'll quit rummaging around and unchain this thing and get it unloaded, and yeah, we're going to see if this thing's going to fire up. Getting wet. I don't like it. Woo. Oh, we had a bit of a rain delay. 'Tis the next day. I think we're about ready to perform a smoke test. We're going to hook up the jump pack and see if anything bursts into flames. Our battery leads are in pretty rough shape. This was the positive. Ground seemed good enough. Cleaned it up a little bit. Throw our ground on there. We'll hook our positive right to the starter. Smoke test has begun. Yeah, and from there, I guess we'll just bump the button and see if anything happens. What's our gauges up here? We got a amp meter, oil pressure, and a temp gauge. Oh, and an hour meter up here, showing 2,300 hours and 0.8 of an hour. So, yeah, that doesn't seem like a whole lot for something like this. This guy right here is our throttle, and according to the sticker here on the control, pushed in should be idle. I guess this is the moment of truth. What do you guys think? I'm gonna push the button. You think it's gonna work? Any of your comments down below. Can I get a contact? Oh, our little solenoid's clicking, but nothing's happening. Sometimes you just gotta push it a whole bunch of times to get the contacts cleaned up in that solenoid. Not looking good. Actually, now that I'm looking at this setup better, I don't understand how this is supposed to work. So the way they have this wired seems wrong to me. That's the battery lead that I cut off there. That's the hot. Normally that would come in on one side of the solenoid and then go out the other. They just have this teeny little small lead coming off that solenoid. I wonder if I can just jump something across here. This is weird. I've never seen a starter quite like this. Huh. It's a cav starter. I'm going to try jumping those two contacts out, see what happens. So I'm going to use a screwdriver to jump out these two posts, and I don't know, the way they have it wired, there must be some sort of an internal solenoid in this starter. Usually they're like external. I've never seen a starter quite like this, but what do I know? Oh! Oh, it works. Oh, seems like it cranks over nice. All right, let's check our fuel supply. In fact, I have a spare tank. Maybe we'll just pull off this crusty looking hose and run an auxiliary tank for now, so that we know we have good clean fuel getting into everything. So I actually took a look inside the actual fuel tank that's on the unit. Doesn't look bad. It's not rusty or anything, but the fuel's really black. I'm sure it would run on it. There is a chance though that it has some algae growing in it or something. I just don't want to risk it contaminating the rest of the fuel system if it's not already. Gonna go ahead and shut the valve for the original fuel tank off, because we're gonna have to disconnect that line. and I can't get it to turn, which leads me to wonder if there's a bunch of junk in there clogging it up. Ha! Well, maybe we'll just have to plug that line. I have no fear the line clamp is here. Man, these Harbor Freight has some decent stuff, but these line clamps are not them. The jaws are misaligned, and I've never done anything crazy with them. As soon as you try to put pressure on a line, they kind of kick out to the sides. Yeah, that's some crappy fuel line right there. That's some crappy line. But I guess it wasn't leaking. I was sitting there holding fuel after all this time still. Yep, that seems better than what we had. Look at this. Ow, prickly. There is still vinage growing up through this thing from wherever the people I got it from ripped it out of. I suspect it was parked in some vegetation. If you don't know, the fuel system on a diesel is a loop. This would be your fuel in, coming into the lift pump, goes to the injection pump, up through the injectors, and then whatever doesn't get burnt at the injectors comes back out at the end of the rail and goes back in a return line to the tank. That's what this is up here. I don't think I have enough hose on my auxiliary tank here to tie into this return. I'm not going to worry about it. There'll just be a little bit of our new fresh fuel going into that tank. We're not going to lose much. Anyway, I can turn the fuel on, check for leaks. Looking good so far. The fuel is on. This guy right here is the manual pump, manual hand primer pump on the lift pump here. So it should be happening right now, as we should be pushing fuel through this hose over to the filter housing. I can't feel any pumping action happening just yet. We're going to have to go on the other side and crack the bleeder screw loose and see if we're getting any fuel. We'll crack this guy loose, and that will tell us if we're getting the air out or not. Well, that wasn't very tight at all. Alright, you guys keep watching over here. I'm going to go run that primer pump, and if we get fuel squirting out of there, just holler, and I'll come tighten it up. I don't know that our little lift pump over there is lifting. Yeah, I can't get anything to come out of here really other than what initially came out when I cracked it loose. I'm going to crank the engine over a little bit and see if it comes out then. Contact! Yeah, it looks like we got a little bit out. We'll give her a try like that. So, I think we have fuel up to our filter housing. From the filter housing, it goes down here to the injection pump, which sometimes can be a bear to bleed here. Better in my mind to bleed it up here at the injectors, because it's got to push through the pump anyway to get to the injectors. So if you got it at the injectors, you got it at the pump. So we're going to crack loose all these injectors now. Make sure we get all the air out. Give us our best fighting chance at actually running this thing. I'm really impressed that everything is coming loose on this machine super easy. For as long as it looks like it's been sitting, I figured everything was going to be a struggle. So we'll come back over to our control panel side. The pull knob is out to stop, so I pushed it in, so it should be in run position. And pull this out to go to full throttle. I'm going to set you guys back up here to watch the injectors and crank it over, and you guys holler when you see fuel. Seems like it's going to be really easy. I probably shouldn't say that out loud. I don't want to jinx myself, but we got fuel with the injectors. It's definitely old fuel. It's yellow instead of red like it's supposed to be. It is definitely old. But that doesn't matter. Diesels like old fuel. This is probably so old that it doesn't have any type of biodiesel in it. No ethanol. It's all actual petroleum. You know, good diesel. I think we're about ready to give it a go. See if it's going to fire up. But I just remembered when I unloaded it, I thought this alternator was stiff and frozen, but I just checked it. Spinning now, so great success. That's another point on the board for us. If this thing does come to life, I'm going to keep my fingers far away from all the angry pixies going on this side of the machine. There's some exposed wiring and stuff in here. You know, the jacketing is deteriorated and fallen off. There's a little switch here. I have no idea what that does. I'm just going to leave that alone. That's where the position it was in. Anyway, you guys taking your bets? You think it's going to fire up or what? Well, pause the video. Place your bets down below. It's showtime. You guys think it's going to run? Time to give her a tickle. We got some smokage over there, but no go-go yet. Contact. Boy, it's really close. It wanted to there. It almost went a couple times. And give that starter a break for a second. And if it doesn't go on the next go round, I'm gonna give it just a little tickle of ether, just a little taste. Yeah, stuff like that. Just hanging there, floor all rotted out from underneath it. That scares me a little bit. Anyway, we gave the starter a break. Give her another go. Contact. Come on, baby, you got it. Just can't quite get there. Did you guys see towards the end of that cranking, it was starting to like puff smoke up out of the intake? That's different. It's almost like a valve hung or something. It started sounding different there. I don't know. Well, rather than burn the starter up and murder my jump pack, we're gonna give her just a snort. I only got about half a can here, so we gotta hope this works. Use it sparingly, I suppose. I find that these small diesel engines don't like a lot of ether. You'll lock them up quick. Just not quite there. All right, it's got to go this time. I freed up my other hand so we can feed it at the same time. Seems very dangerous. Oil pressure. Sure. She's just gonna sit there and idle for us? Oh, yeah. What a gem! Ha! little hazy, but not too bad. Scary. That feels like an OSHA violation. She sounds good. Sounds real good. Let's give her a throttle tickle and see what it does. Yeah, baby. This thing runs great. Man, this thing runs great. Can't complain about that for 300 bucks. Our temp gauge is coming up now. Heck yeah. I can't believe how good that thing runs. It runs awesome. Let's see how she restarts. Solenoid's still not happy. Contact. Oh. Yep. Hard to argue with that. Well, we know the engine's good. I guess the other important half of this equation would be the welder. I don't know too much about the angry pixies that are going on under that hood, but I can get a multimeter at least and test the lugs on the front of the machine here and see if we're getting voltage out. If we're getting something out, then I guess we could go ahead and try to hook up some leads and see if it's going to weld. All right, yeah, I don't know. Oh, there we go. Got that thing going. I put that up into stick position, and I'm just going to go ahead and crank a lot of this stuff up just so I can make sure I get a reading. I should get a reading no matter what, but looks like we go up to 350 amps. Put it on the lowest amp settings. I think I have it all where it should need to be for me to be able to get a reading off the two main power lugs down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. Got my voltmeter set up. We'll see if we're getting any juice. So I'm getting 30 volts out of the 110 plug up here. Never mind, I thought I was. I had it in AC mode. Apparently that's a DC plug. I don't know when you'd ever want a DC plug. All right, a lot of times when you guys hear me say something like, I don't know what I'm doing, I mean, it's true to a point, but I have a little idea. But when I tell you right now I don't have a clue what I'm doing, ChatGPT is steering the ship right now. I started doing a little bit of researching and talking to AI, trying to understand what goes on here. And basically what I'm understanding is these old generators have an exciter on them, which I do know that much. To get them to make voltage again, they lose their polarity if they sit for a long, long time, which this thing undoubtedly has. So all you should have to do, theoretically, sometimes, is basically put 12 volts back into that exciter and tell it, you know, which way is up again. So from what I understand, negative to negative, positive to positive with 12 volts, just give it contact for a couple seconds, and then we're going to fire it up again and see if it outputs any voltage. Sometimes this almost works a little. Contact? Yep, I don't know. I don't know. I can say I tried it. If this works, I'll be impressed. Why am I not surprised? It didn't work. All right, well, it's the next day on our little welder project here, or big welder, I guess I should say. She runs great, no complaints there at all, but we're not making any power on the generator side. Now, as I've explained to you, I don't know what I'm doing. I am completely winging this. A little bit of Google searching has led me to two little things that I'm gonna try, and if it's not them, well, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna fool with this thing a whole lot. I mainly bought it for an engine. It's not even the engine that I was after. So it's great that it runs. It's still worth what I paid for it and then some. So if I can't get it to weld or make any power, I'm gonna put it on Marketplace as is. Still worth considerably more than I paid for it. But it would be great if I could get it to weld, and then I could really get some money out of it or keep it as a diesel powered welder. So if you notice this fancy pants stick I have here in my hand, that's gonna be instrumental in the next thing we're gonna try to do to get this thing welding. Also, while you guys weren't looking, I took off our temporary tank and plumbed in the original tank, put a new fuel line there from the original tank down to the pump and everything, got it all bled out. I've had it running since then. You can see it's up to temp right now. I checked the tank was clean, and we ended up pumping a gallon or two of fuel from the return back into the little bit of fuel that was in the tank. So it's kind of watered down with new fuel, and I trust it. I put some additives and injector cleaners and stuff in there to help our cause. So we should be good to run off that tank now. So the next and final thing I'm going to try to get this thing to generate is I want to clean the slip rings. Now, I don't know how well you guys can see them. So right where my finger's wiggling down here, those are the brush holders right in front of my fingers. And those brushes push outwards towards the center of the generator there against some, I'm blanking on the word right now. You could call them slip rings, but they're also like a commutator almost, I think. I could be wrong. I'm not up on my digital terms here. But anyways, those things can get dirty. There's also a set down here, and these are more commutator-esque, I guess, than the slip rings that are further up this way. Both of them need cleaned though. You can see this one is very oxidized. That should be bright copper. So the easiest way to clean those things is to start this thing up and take something like this. This is Scotch-Brite stapled to the end of a grade stake. I'm going to jam this in there on those commutators, or on the slip rings, whatever you want to call them, and that Scotch-Brite is going to clean those up. Theoretically, they're so corroded that they're not making contact, so if you clean them up, they should start making contact again, and the power will come back. Hopefully. That's the idea anyway. Let's give it a whirl. Try to get down here onto these ones now. Looks a bit tighter. I kind of wore through my Scotch-Brite. I got to get a new piece. Well, I shut her down, and you can see we got that commutator there at the end of the generator shined up really nice, as well as the slip rings over here. They're all shiny now. So there's potential here. I'm not saying that we fixed it by any stretch, but maybe. We can be hopeful. I guess the other thing we'll need to do now, since those are cleaned up and potentially, making contact again, is we will need to repolarize again. What I was reading online says to polarize it actually directly through the slip rings there, but you can do it from the front lugs if the machine is shut off. I don't know if that's actually accurate or not, but it's what I'm reading. I don't know, as far as actually doing it at the slip rings, I have no idea how you would know which side should be positive or negative, short of tracing all the wires back. And even still, yeah, okay, you go ahead. I wouldn't have a clue where to start with that. The other thing here is that we might be just fighting a losing battle because, look, you have open transformers all over the place here. Let's count it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 open transformers that have all been seeing weather. Oh no, is that 5 in there? I don't know, 4 or 5 open transformers that have been seeing weather, or at least some elements, for quite a long time. And they may be no good, and just maybe this will never work. I don't know. There's also, the other thing I was thinking about doing is the tap changer up here where all your lugs come together. Basically, this is what rotates. If you change your amperage settings on the front of the machine here, you're changing the way all these taps connect in through this series board thing. And then there's a giant rheostat here, which is your fine tuning through those different tap changes. And that's what goes to all these transformers. So you might find one that works. If one transformer's bad, you could know, which settings to pick to still get power where you need it. But a very useful welder that does not make. But anyways, back to this tap changer board. All the contacts on there are copper and they're all corroded pretty good. And I've been running it back and forth a whole bunch because just going over the contacts, see, it's still kind of sticky. But just doing that a million times with it kind of helps clean up the contacts in there, because it's kind of difficult to get in there and actually clean them properly. So, there's a chance you do that enough, things start working again. There's actually 2 stacked tap changers. I don't know what to make of it. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this thing because, as you guys know, there are a few other projects, calling my attention. This was just kind of a quick spur of the moment thing. I've spent very little time on this right now, but I thought you guys would enjoy seeing it nonetheless. So with all that being said, I'm going to try to repolarize this thing again through the leads, and if it doesn't work, well, then we're just going to call it a win for the engine and an L for the generator side. Somebody might be able to fix it, but I'm just not going to dedicate that kind of time to it. I don't know. Anyway, here goes nothing. Contact. If nothing else, it runs really good. So we still got nothing on our meter. Last resort here, like I said, I'm gonna go through and just try a bunch of these different tap settings and see if we get something somewhere, and at least that would tell me that the generator is doing its thing. Well, I gave it my college try. I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody could fix this thing. I'm not your guy, At best, I am your engine guy. I'm not your none of that side. From that support post over, I want nothing to do with that thing. I was able to actually identify this engine finally. I sent a quick little video into my group chat there, and I believe it was Lord Muck identified this thing as a Perkins D401 or something like that. We got a good little running Perkins engine out of the deal, and a nice Columbia bench vise, and potentially some scrap metal, some scrap copper, a MIG spool gun. I have no idea if that thing works or not. And some doodads in the cabinet here. So, all in all, for 300 bucks, I call that a win. I don't really have any express desire to cut this thing up. I mean, I appreciate, old stuff, as you guys know, and a cool old school diesel welder is no exception to that. But, if I can't get probably $1,000 out of it, then we'll end up yanking the engine, scrapping the rest, and save the engine for a future project. You never know what you come across that you might need a 50 horsepower diesel for. So I could definitely see that being a handy unit to have sitting on a shelf somewhere. Anyways, like I said, guys, I have a ton of other projects that deserve my attention, so we're not going to waste any more time on this thing. If you like this video, though, do me a big favor. Hit that thumbs up button down below the video. It really helps out the channel. It doesn't cost you guys a dime. If you would like to help support the channel in a little more direct fashion, you can see all the leaves falling off back here. It's hoodie season. You can head over to the store right now, dieselcreek.com, pick yourself up a nice heavyweight hoodie here. I'm really happy with these ones there. Kind of like the heft of a Carhartt, maybe even, dare I say, a little heavier than a Carhartt, but a little bit easier on the wallet. Also, we just put some new caps out over the store. These are Pennsylvania State Diesel Creek caps. A lot of you guys know we're based here in Pennsylvania, and you don't have to be from here to represent. So we're coming into a new season. If you want to pick up a new hat, they're available now over at the store. That's dieselcreek.com. We also have some new Army shirts we just kicked out, and our really cool 4th of July summer shirt that we're still selling now. So if you want to get one of those before they're gone, check out the store, dieselcreek.com. Link, as always, down in the description there. But that's all I got for today. So until the next time, guys, I want to thank you for watching. I'll catch you later. Whoops.